everyone. How are you? I am Lana Quest, and this is the Lana Quest Show. If you want to call it a show, I don't know, it may be a rant. I normally come on Thursdays at 7 p.m., but that has become increasingly difficult due to the kids' sports. New baby is on the way with my oldest daughter. There's just a lot of moving pieces, and I'm finding it more and more difficult to come on and just make anything to take notes, like, to create and upload the videos. Like, it's all becoming cumbersome. And also, I am co-founder of Dems United on Twitter, a democratic group there who fights disinformation, et cetera, et cetera. So it's become busy, but here I am today. This may be my new time. I don't know. It was also hard to come on just now to like pull myself together, put some makeup on so I don't look so old and haggard. You got people coming in and out because it is a Saturday, dogs wanting to be walked because the sun is out. So a lot's going on, but we are going to jump right in. After all of that, we're going to jump right in, and hopefully I can be done by in less than an hour, because I'm supposed to be meeting friends at 2 p.m. and I don't think that's going to happen either. It's probably going to be later. But before we start, please, YouTube is one of those things where it is just so hard to get subscribers. It is just so hard for to get people to share your video, watch the video. Like, YouTube is a hard space to break through on. And I understand it. You really have to be very consistent about it and be here all the time, which apparently I'm not. So I get it. But please like, share, subscribe. We have to support our Democrat voices, right? Like, whether it's on social media, whether it's on podcasts, from Midas touchdown to the smaller ones. Like, we're all out here watching it go down and trying to talk about it with you. We don't always have all the facts straight. We're not an MSNBC, but we do the best that we can without a script in front of us. So it is important that we support one another, because this is how we're going to get through it. We don't get through it any other way unless we are supporting each other and not fighting each other. So let's just jump right into, I'm sorry, we do have to talk about Charlie Kirk, and no one wants to talk about Charlie Kirk, but I'm not going to talk about Charlie Kirk like he is a martyr. I'm just going to say that Charlie Kirk was murdered on September 10th. They are calling it an assassination. I am not going to call this an assassination, because, like, who is Charlie Kirk? He was murdered. Gun violence. So September 10th, 2025, by Tyler Robinson. He was doing his Turning Point hate tour, because that's what he's known for. That is what Charlie Kirk did. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for my videos and I don't see the video that I posted about who Charlie Kirk is, which is very interesting that I don't see it there. Wow. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm just scrolling through my videos. Why don't I see it? That's quite interesting. That hold on, let me just add this to the stage to see.
Here's what we're doing. First of all,
no, that's not Charlie Kirk. That's interesting. So I uploaded, let me see what this
National Guard in Illinois without the government.
No, that's not him either. Anyway, so we're just gonna move on. He was murdered. Charlie Kirk was not a great person. Did I wish for Charlie Kirk to be murdered? No. Why? Because I didn't think about Charlie Kirk. I have no thoughts about Charlie Kirk. I don't go around wishing anyone dead, other than a certain orange thing in the White House. Like, I mean, of course, who does not, other than, MAGA and his lawyer supporters, but I would not wish that on anyone. However, am I upset that a hateful, violent rhetoric guy is dead? Absolutely not. So interesting. Republicans, after the murder, they went on, any show that would have them, social media, claim to love him. I don't know if they said political violence was not the answer, because I heard from Republicans more of liberals are violent. It's the liberals. Nancy Mace said 100% Democrats did this. Like, this is the energy that Republicans gave. Well, on the flip side, Democrats did this weird thing as well, where, of course, they condemned political violence, but they also kind of acted like Charlie Kirk wasn't who Charlie Kirk actually is, or who we know Charlie Kirk to be, because we all know Charlie Kirk to be not a nice guy. He just wasn't. Charlie Kirk actually said, after children are murdered in a mass shooting while sitting in classrooms or sitting in church pews, they're mass murdered. Charlie Kirk says that, hey, that's just part of what has to happen so we can uphold the Second Amendment. So he was okay with children being murdered, or anyone being murdered, if that's what it took to uphold the Second Amendment, right? So on top of his racist ways, on top of him and his Black crime statistics, on top of him using his Turning Point USA to actually attack teachers and professors or anyone, right? So that's the other part that people don't talk about, because they're like, oh no, he was willing to debate kids because it was freedom of speech. He would hear their side. No, right? No. Because if teachers or professors or anyone he perceived as woke or teaching woke came into his, his eye shot, what did he do? He would talk about them, right? He would write about them on social media. Hey, Brian. He would write about them on social media, and then he would send his goons to attack them. So then the calls would start, right? The violent threats would start. So that's who Charlie Kirk is. Charlie Kirk was no martyr. Like, do I celebrate death? No, right? But he's not able to brainwash a group of children anymore, because that's really what he was doing. He presented in this, polite, white, clean-cut, all-American way. So people would actually be fooled by him. So he's actually spewing so much hate, and you don't even know that you're ingesting it, because he's doing it in such a polite and normal way, because that's what he did. So that happened. It took, I don't know, maybe a day or so before they actually caught the murderer, but they actually didn't catch the murderer of the FBI. But if you watched local news or just news, you would see Kash Patel giving kudos to himself and the government for catching this guy. I really don't care, but it's good to have a murderer off the street. I mean, regardless of who he murdered, like, you don't want someone who kills someone because they didn't like him on the streets running around. So the parents eventually turned him in. And like I said, Republicans were real quick initially to be like, hey, it's the Democrats. But then once they found out that it was a Mormon and a minister and a registered Republican, it was his son, and a former law enforcement guy, it was his son. And this kid was like raised in the gun culture since, he was old enough to carry one or to hold one. Then Republicans kind of started, moonwalking backwards, right? Like now it's like, we have to give our prayers and pray for this troubled young man, right? Because now they're like, whoa, his father supports us. We can't really go so hard on him. Our narrative has changed. Like, this is the craziness, right? And then as the days go on, now we find out because they were, because you wrote fascist on a bullet, they're like, take what you will from that, right? Because, Democrats call Trump a fascist. So they're still trying to look for these connections. And they couldn't, because apparently whatever he wrote, Catch This Fascist, is a part of some video game culture. And the video game culture is a part of another culture of goipers or whatever the frick these people are called. I don't know. They're all MAGA to me. But they go around talking about, oh, you Democrats, you guys aren't even united. That's why you can't listen to that. Don't be fooled by all of this rhetoric. Don't be fooled by polling. Do what you have to do, Democrats, because it's nonsense. Because the people who are actually having internal issues are the MAGA. Because you have a MAGA who shot another MAGA. Because apparently this guy, Tyler Robinson, was big on Laura Loomer, was big on Nick Fuentes, who the goipers, whatever they're called, Pepe the Frog folks, they love. And goipers, they're like pedophiles, and they're actually, some of them are gay. Like, so it's just a weird mix. And apparently Charlie Kirk was just not far right enough for them. I don't even know how you get more far right than Charlie Kirk, because he was already Nazi-ish. So not sure how you go further, but it's probably something deeper going on. Like, who can get closer to Trump? Who's in Trump's circle? Like, it was probably a more jealousy type thing. And Laura Loomer and Nick Fuentes, they use their platforms to go after not only Democrats, but the Republicans that they don't like. And Charlie Kirk was one of them. They sent their little army, Goiper army, or whatever the frick those people are called, to that Turning Point event. Take what you will from that information, but that is something that happened. That is enough about Charlie Kirk. Talking about him makes my stomach hurt. Even though he's dead, it still makes my stomach hurt, because the damage that he has just created in this country, just on social media, like just the MAGA who support him, they don't even, it's like, you're being mean. And it's like, what are you talking about being mean? Have you talked about the Minnesota shootings? Like, has Trump talked about that? Like, I don't think so. He didn't fly any flags, half staff. Like what are we talking about right now? But anyway, whatever, Charlie Kirk, he's gone. Next. So next up, like, it's so crazy that I don't see those videos, and I know I added them to the stage. It's almost like they didn't want me to play it, whoever they is. Let's talk about Florida. Florida has made some bold decisions lately. Not only is Florida rewriting Black history, we already knew that. Well, not only does Florida have like alligator Alcatraz, the governor is, he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a misogynist. Women can't get abortions. Like, Florida was just already bad, but they have nice sun and palm trees. So people get, I think, lulled by all of that, and they don't really understand how dangerous Florida is. Not dangerous as in Republicans will, shoot you because someone said that to me. Dangerous as in their policies are dangerous. There we go. Policies. So now we had their Surgeon General, Dr. Ladapo, or is it Lapado? Not sure. I think it's Ladapo. Dr. Ladapo comes out and says that they will no longer be mandating vaccines for school-age children. Just let that marinate for a minute. They just no more vaccines, Florida. I mean, hey, what adults do with their bodies, okay. But when you start not wanting children to be vaccinated because you're saying, parents should be able to decide, right? Because this is what he says. But Florida also says parents are not able to decide the health care for their trans children. Women are not able to decide their reproductive health. Parents are not able to decide what books they want their children to read. But here we are, Dr. Ladapo is saying, oh no, parents should decide what vaccines their children get. Who am I, who is a doctor? Who am I to decide that for them? Who is a doctor, right? Because I thought that doctors were supposed to best practice, right? Like, so you would explain the pros of the vaccines and whatever cons they may have for your child. But he's saying, oh no, I don't have a job to do here, Florida. I don't care. Measles run wild, whatever, have at it. And this is all in line with RFK Jr. because he doesn't want anyone or your children to have measles vaccines. So let's talk about RFK Jr. real quick, because again, I was supposed to keep this under an hour and I'm talking very slow. So let's just backtrack. RFK Jr. is the head of our health department. He is not a doctor. He is not a scientist. What he is this ex-heroin addict. I don't know if it's ex or not. He may still be on the heroin. I don't know. We do know that a worm ate part of his brain. Like, we do know that he has some issues. So this guy, who is not a doctor and not a scientist and who is not data driven, but who is actually a conspiracy theorist, is in charge of America's health. Problematic on its face. Because if you didn't know, he had a little issue in Samoa, right? So Samoa, during one of their vaccination rounds of the measles, 2 children died. I think it was like in maybe 2018 or something like that. They did not die from the vaccine per se. They died because the nurses that administered the vaccines administered at the wrong dose, right? It's not the vaccine, is actually nurse error. Problematic. So they stopped having vaccines until they could investigate, right? So then they restarted the vaccines again. But of course, parents are now skittish about the vaccines because of what they heard, right? They're really skittish. So they were having a hard time getting the parents to get their children vaccinated. So RFK Jr. was like, oh, shoot, look what's happening in Samoa. Here's the perfect time to do my experiment, because what else is this other than an experiment? So he goes to Samoa in 2019 and he tells them, you don't need the vaccines. He was giving them all the anti-vaccine stuff that he says here. Cod liver oil, vitamin A, that's all you need. Measles is not proven to, ward off the measles. This is what he's telling Samoa. Guess what happened in Samoa? They had a huge measles outbreak. Huge, thousands of kids with the measles. 83 died. RFK Jr. is out. He did the damage and he was out. Did the damage and he was out. What do you think is going to happen in Florida? Texas said They had an outbreak. Now Texas is like, oh no, it's over. It's a lie, because we cannot believe not one thing that is coming out of this government. We cannot. It's just all of a sudden it's gone. Gone. Measles shouldn't have been here because it was eradicated. The only reason measles is back and we're getting these pockets of kids and kids dying, and I think in California, an unvaccinated kid just died last week or this week. That should not be happening if we're vaccinating our children. And again, if you're giving your kid vitamin A and cod liver oil constantly, what do you think that's going to do to their body? Because too much of anything is going to hurt them. So again, I don't get it, but let's listen to Ladapo. Oh, also, Ladapo, they've scrubbed the website clean. But if you just go to Grok and ask Grok who Ladapo is, and then ask about, I think her name was Isabel, she's a pediatrician, Isabel something. They did a press conference during COVID outside of the White House to say that COVID was caused by demon sperm. That's what Ladapo did. That's the guy that's saying you don't need the measles vaccine. He's the guy that said COVID is caused by demon sperm. But again, they wiped the social media, so you don't see that anymore. They wiped it. But there's record of it happening. We know there was a video of him out there with her, and she's like catching the Holy Ghost, talking about demon sperm, and Dr. Ladapo was right there. And now he's a Surgeon General in Florida. Can't make this up. Hey, baby Juggernaut. So let's listen to Dr. Ladapo and his data.
Florida, which include obviously public schools. Did your department do any data analysis? Did you do any data projection of how many new cases of these diseases there will be in Florida once you remove vaccine mandates?
Absolutely. So absolutely not, because it's not a, you mentioned whooping cough there. So there's this conflation of the science and sort of what is the right and wrong thing to do. So scientifically, you mentioned whooping cough. So that's an example. This is part of the issue with informed consent. That's an example of a vaccine that is ineffective. The data show that it's ineffective at preventing transmission. So sort of mandates with that.
Pause. Just pause for a minute. Right. Just like the COVID vaccine is ineffective of preventing COVID. No one said that, right? Like the purpose is to, one, get herd immunity, right? So it's very rarely seen. And then the other purpose is if you get it, you don't get as sick. He knows that. He's playing with the words and all the big words and the data and he's doing that thing. And MAGA just like it's just over all their head is just spinning around, right? They just don't get it. All they understand from what he just said was, I don't have to get that vaccine, and my kids don't have to get the vaccine.
Have anything to do with the notion of transmission. And then in terms of, like analysis, well, ultimately, this is an issue very clearly of parents' rights. So do I need to analyze whether it's appropriate for parents to be able to decide what goes into their children's bodies? I don't need to do an analysis on that.
So you're trying to lift the vaccine mandate in Florida, and your department and you did not even do a projection as to how this could impact public health. So you have not prepared hospitals in the Florida counties most at risk with the best treatments for any outbreaks of measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, polio, and you have not looked.
Nope. If your kids get it, your household get it, the whole school gets it, you are shit out of luck. Go get some vitamin A and cod liver oil.
Into how many kids might now get these preventable diseases? That's what you're saying?
No, that's what you said. What I'm saying is that it's an issue of right and wrong in terms of whether parents should be able to have ultimate authority over what happens to their kids' bodies.
Unless your kid is trans, then the government gets to have ultimate control over what happens with your children's body. You can't, like, the hypocrisy is so obvious. Like, it is just smacking you in the face. His body language tells it all. He's bullshitting. He's full of shit.
And in terms of outbreaks, we do have outbreaks in Florida, just like every state, and we manage those. So there are no new special procedures that need to be made.
Right, but you're
When
talking
we
about
have outbreaks of
doing
different
something that no
diseases,
other
we
state has
manage
done.
them just as always.
But you're talking about doing something that no.
Ugh, enough of him. Let me give you some data. 278 kids have died of the flu during the 2024-2025 flu season, right? Because now we're about to go into the 2025-2026 flu season. So if in 2024-2025 flu season, 278 kids, 90% were not vaccinated, died from flu. The flu? What? Like, no one is finding anything crazy about that. It's so insane. My arm is sore right now because my oldest daughter is about to give birth. And you know what her doctor said? Have everyone around this baby make sure that they have been vaccinated, getting the Tdap. So we don't give this kid pertussis or something like that. Right? So I had to go and check my records to see if I've gotten my 10-year booster, and we couldn't find it. So guess what I did? I just went and got it again, because we don't play that. I'm not going to make this baby sick and then be like these parents that I'm about to let you listen to right now. Because this is the MAGA supporter. This, again, do what the fuck you want to do with your body. But then when you're talking about kids, and kids are dying, and then they're going to school, and then they're going to college, and then they're giving our kids something that's preventable because y'all won't do that. Like, come on. Come on. And then why not make it so that people have access? Why are we taking access away? Just keep access there. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But you're making it harder for the people who want to get it. Listen to these idiots.
Get cancer as easily. She says they would still say don't do the shots. There's doctors that can help with measles. They're not as bad as they're making it out to be.
And also the measles are good for the body, for the people, because the measles are getting a...
He said measles are good for the body. We cannot ask his daughter, his 6-year-old. You know why? Because she's dead. His daughter is dead. But he said measles are good for the body. Forget the brain swelling, the lack of oxygen, not being able to breathe, having the chest pains that the kids go through with measles. Don't worry about that. It's at the end of the day, it's all going to be worth it.
Getting the what is it?
What
Entzündung. Infection.
For infection.
Yeah, they get an infection out, and
do you mind this immune system?
Yes,
yeah.
They're trying to say that the measles actually helps build the immune system in the long run if they get the measles now.
Vaccines build antibodies. These people are idiots.
In the long run.
In the long run, they kriegen nicht so leicht, they kriegen nicht so leicht kräf.
Yeah, they can nicht so leicht kräf.
Okay, so in the long run, he says they wouldn't get cancer as easily, and it fights off a lot of stuff, the immunity that they get from the vaccine.
Their kid is dead. I mean, if that's the case, if it fought off cancer, then nobody would get the vaccine and we would have a cure for cancer. Like, what are we talking about? Like, if that was a cure for cancer, they would take the products of measles, whatever's in the measles, right? They would extract that, and then they would use that to create a cure for cancer. I mean, that's kind of common sense, but I guess maybe you need fifth grade, like science, biology, reading. I don't, just to understand it's. So all states aren't with that bullshit. So let's talk about my state and what my governor is doing.
No state has yet done. Insurance plans in Massachusetts will continue to cover the vaccines recommended by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, regardless of what any other federal agency or appointee says. It will cover the full range of recommended vaccines, including flu, COVID, as well as children's vaccines like measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and more. In Massachusetts, CVS, Walgreens, and other pharmacies will continue to schedule and give vaccines, including for.
Quick story. So, I have a couple of, I have 3 adult children. And as they were coming up, they'd be like, oh, I don't want to stay in Massachusetts. I want to go to Atlanta. I want to go here. And I would always tell them, like, listen, you are no shade to the Democrats living in the red states, no shade. But I would prefer, as I told my kids, you and 3 girls, you need to stay in Massachusetts. You need to stay in Massachusetts because you may need access to certain reproductive care that you will not be able to get in those red states. As a matter of fact, women are dying from miscarriages in those states. So stay in a state that is very concerned about women's reproductive care and people's access to vaccines that will actually keep our state healthier. But let's continue.
For the flu and COVID. Now, last Friday, Commissioner Goldstein, at my direction, issued a standing order that ensures that pharmacies can provide a COVID vaccine to anyone who wants it. Essentially, what this means, and the commissioner is a doctor.
And that's the crazy thing. So when they had RFK Jr. on the Hill, there were Republicans asking him about vaccines because there was one Republican, I can't remember which lawmaker it was, his wife has cancer or in remission and needs to have the COVID vaccine and went to the pharmacy and could not get it because the pharmacies in the red states are very confused about what the rules and the regulations are around these vaccines. They don't know if they will get in trouble if they administer them. So can you imagine having an illness, asthma, cancer, lung cancer, and you cannot get a flu vaccine or the COVID vaccine? It's like they are trying to kill us. Like, what is this? If you want it, you're not forcing people to have it. If you want it, you should have access to it. But they're trying to deny us access. And they want to take it off of the register of the drugs that they recommend so that their buddies in the insurance companies can stop paying for them because the insurance companies are going to be like, oh, you know what? If the health department is not recommending it, why in the world would we continue to pay for it if the patient wants it? They can pay for it themselves. That is where we are headed, folks.
He wrote a prescription for every Massachusetts resident that covers everyone in this state. So Massachusetts, we're not going to let this stand. We are taking a stand. We are a healthcare leader, and we're not going to let the Trump administration or Robert Kennedy cost lives and take us down.
Facts. And we're not the only state. California and some other states are actually talking about having their own CDC so that, we can deal with these things as they come up. I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to do this. It's unfortunate because I feel horrible for my friends and the people that I know who just happen to live in red states. I feel horrible that they're not able to get the same health care. This is absolutely insane, but this is what happens when you have voters who just sat by and let this happen. Let's move on to MAGA Farmers. Step right up, MAGA Farmers. What's happening with y'all? Y'all good? What's going on, MAGA Farmers? Because y'all were like, yeah, we're going to vote for Trump because Trump's going to help our farms. Yeah, we vote for Trump. MAGA, MAGA. Now what's going on with MAGA Farmers? What's going on, huh? Tariffs fucking y'all up, huh? You can't even get parts for your equipment because it's costing so much money. And those farmers who were dealing with soybeans, right? Remember those soybeans? China bought soybeans from our farmers at high percentages. Guess what? China was like, fuck you, Trump, and fuck your tariffs. Zero soybeans. China has bought zero soybeans from soybean farmers. Now, guess what farmers are doing? Asking for government handout. Can't make this up. They're the same people that are like, oh, well, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Why are you asking the government for help? But here they are for the second time asking for government help because they're losing their farms. I heard someone committed suicide, literally losing their farm. What? By design, because the corporations want your land anyway. What, you thought it was just, they just want Gaza? What, you thought they just wanted to develop on the Gaza Strip and ethnic cleanse over there? What you thought? Did you think that it was just going to be the black farmers? What you thought? They want your land too. It was never about the everyday average American here. It was always about the oligarchs. Always about the rich getting richer while the poor, we fight each other down here for scraps. That is what they want. They want MAGA and Democrats to be fighting. They laugh at that. They get off on that because meanwhile, while we're fighting, him and Zuckerberg are chuckling it up, right? At a wealthy dinner, celebrating the tax cuts. Trump's putting ballrooms in, changing the Rose Garden. He's got a big plane. He's opening resorts all over the place. He's selling freaking Bitcoin. There's a Melania coins, there's Trump coins, there's Trump Jr. coin. Like, they are making a killing. Meanwhile, MAGA and Democrats are going fisticuffs, right? Who's the worst person? Who's the worst person? When it's him, and they fail to realize it. Even as they lose their farm, they go, Trump's going to take care of us. No tax on tips. The crumbs. He's literally like, here's some shit, crumbs, so you can shut up and stop asking me for stuff. Here's some crumbs. That way you think that you got something while we're actually getting tax cuts that go into infinity. Like, just don't end. Let's listen to what's going on with the farmers because, it's best to hear it from them. So you can't say that I am lying. But also you'll be like, oh, that's MSNBC. They're lying. That's fake news. It's a hoax. This is a hoax that farmer committed suicide, right? Here we go.
Since we left with U.S. We've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war.
Did y'all hear that? China has bought 0 soybeans from soybean farmers. They have gone to Brazil. Your orange daddy is destroying you. He is destroying trade. He is pushing us from the #1 spot and giving it to other people. They're just going to do things without us while we're here sicking our military on Americans.
In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China.
We tried to tell y'all. Oh my gosh. Last but not least, Epstein. Because at the end of the day, all of that MAGA stuff and the Charlie Kirk and the this and the that all distracted us from what happened.
This is not just my story, the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually.
Donald Trump was Epstein's biggest brag. I didn't even set this up. I just wanted to jump right in. So I haven't been on in so long. I don't know if it was last week or the week before last week where the Epstein Estate released a trove of documents and the birthday book. And that was the big thing, I believe, right before Kirk was murdered, was the birthday book, because of course, the Beto in the White House is like, that's not my signature. That's not how I talk. It's like, that is your signature. So he had all his minions go on TV talking about like how that wasn't his signature. But it's like, it doesn't make sense because the birthday book was bound 20 years prior or over 20 years prior. So what did someone do? Forge it 20 years ago? And put it in there where no one else in that birthday book said that anything of theirs was forged. Like, again, Republicans are jumping over hoops to protect Donald Trump. And why? Here are the ladies right here. Donald Trump has not talked to these women. He does not want to talk to these women. Why? As she just said, Epstein bragged about Donald Trump the most. A picture of Epstein and Donald Trump are in Epstein's house on some type of dresser. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't put people I barely know on my shelves around my house. I just don't do that. Unless they're maybe, I don't know. No, I wouldn't even put a celebrity. Like, that's weird. Like, no, it just not, you just don't do it. But Trump was there. So let's continue.
And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role?
She was held accountable, and then she's in some type of minimum play prison right now where she gets to come out and and walk and stretch her legs and maybe go work a job and finger paint color. I don't know. She's just playing with Legos, like she's just having a good time. Why? Because they made sure that she came out when Trump's personal attorney went to talk to her, and she said, no, I didn't see Trump doing anything bad. Right. So they're like, yep, you said exactly what we want. So we're going to help you and put you in a lower security prison. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's if you wanted to protect these women right here, these victims, right? If you wanted to get to the bottom of who abused these women who are clearly still traumatized, you would talk to these women. Trump loves a production. He would have a whole production. Fox News would have them on. But they won't, will they? Because they know something. And you would say, why won't they just tell it? Because they talked about putting out their own list. Because they're afraid. Because the minute they drop names, we know what happens, right? We know what happened. We saw what happened to the two women in Atlanta when Trump and Giuliani dropped their names and said that they were like cheating during the, they were ballot hustlers, right? They got death threats. They had to change their names, move away from their home. Like, that's what happens. And that's what would happen in this case. That's why, we have to proceed with caution, because these women have to be protected.
Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been a crazy week. We've gone from, the silencing of a hate-filled guy, Charlie Kirk, to the farmers now asking for handouts, which, they didn't like handouts for anyone else, but, they want their second handout. But again, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You voted for this guy. What do you think tariffs was going to do? He's been talking about tariffs forever. So I have no empathy for them. And it will impact us all, right? Like, if the farmers are going under, it's going to impact us all. But there's going to be a problem anyway, because what the frick you got a farm for if you don't have anyone to pick your strawberries, because he's rounding up all the immigrants who were doing these jobs. So like, it's going to get worse. So if farmers are out here killing themselves right now and crying and begging for handouts because China has bought 0 soybeans, let's say that again. China is buying their soybeans from Brazil. China has bought 0 soybeans from America's farms. It's going to get worse. Like, what is the handout going to do? Like, are they going to produce another crop? They produce soybean. So what? We're giving them a handout to do what? China is not going to buy soybeans here. So we're just wasting money, right? But we want to defund cancer research, autism research, the same thing that RFK Jr. is out here like, oh my goodness, measles, the measles vaccine causes autism. Tylenol causes autism. When autism was found in 1943 and Tylenol didn't even hit the shelves until 1955. But according to him, Tylenol causes autism. There's so many spectrums of autism. Like, there's not more autism today than it was before. It's like 0.77%. It seems like there's a lot, but there's not a lot. Autism has a lot of spectrums. So it's like RFK Jr. has no idea what he's talking about. But, they don't care. Their job was always to destroy the Department of Education, destroy the Department of Health, just to destroy and burn it all down so that Donald Trump is the king and there are no departments underneath him. He just makes all of this decisions. And it's not even him. It's like the Heritage Foundation and all of those people, because have you seen him lately? He looks like he's had a stroke. Like, he looks horrific. But anyway, hey, Michelle, how are you? I am about to get out of here. We went over an hour, but we got most of the stuff in. Happy we got a chance to do that. And again, I think that I am going to move the show over to Saturday afternoons, only because it's just a little better timing wise for me, because there's a lot going on in this house. So anyway, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturdays. Get outside. If the sun is out, get outside, touch some grass. If it's raining, you know what? Still get outside, get some air. We got another week of nonsense ahead of us. So everyone, be safe out there. Thank you, baby Juggernaut. Thanks, Michelle, for stopping in. I know I should have told you that I was going to do the show. Bad on me. It was like a last minute. Thank you, Brian, for popping on and sharing this show. Thank you, everyone. I will see you hopefully next Saturday. Let's try that. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.